have a huge panel sitting with me, and I hope everyone's fresh enough to talk. We're running a little late, but we'll start right away. So, Shobhit, we'll start with you. SSPL is doing a lot of licensing merchandise. And what is the market in India? Is there any kind of challenges that you faced, or is it a huge opportunity?
See, Nandini, there's a huge potential for the licensing, and that's the reason our company is, as you rightly said, huge into licensing. And we definitely believe there's a huge potential. Reason is that because kids treat licensee or the IP properties as their role model. Is a huge potential, and I'll tell you the challenges. The biggest challenge, I think, I was discussing with my friend also, and from Hasbro, and we're using their license. And the biggest challenge is about having an inclusive approach, which I was discussing with him also. See, like instead of treating like two licensed and licensee as a two parties, we have to have a like partnership approach. And I'll tell you, like we are holding a stationery brand called School. And I will tell you, like, licensing stationery is, you can say, not promoted in the schools. The reason is not, like, school doesn't want to see the Mickey Mouse or Transformer on the pencils. Only thing is that, because of the pricing, it creates the disparity. So, if you want to make a commodity a mass, because, see, like, when there's an IP character, product is equally important as the character is. So, it's a hand-in-hand thing going on. Even the product is promoting the character, and character is promoting the product. So we have to work as a partner. And and I'm again back to my logic about the schools not promoting the licensed stationery into the institutions, that a licensed stationery is always expensive because we are building a licensing cost and MGs over it. Right. And they don't want to have a disparity that a child using a licensed stationery has to be or a non-licensed stationery is feeling an inferior thing. So the moment there's a price parity between the licensed merchandise and the non-licensed merchandise, it's going to solve every problem. And I'll tell you the second biggest problem, which is into the licensed merchandise distribution, is piracy and duplication. And again, a culprit is license and licensing. We are leaving that gap in between for piracy to happen. We together have to work to reduce that gap. The moment the gap is not there, there's no room for the piracy to happen. So these two are the biggest challenges, and these biggest challenges can be solved with a partnership, and you can say inclusive or relevance approach in the industry. This is my take.
Lovely. So Harsh, I'll come to you. Do you agree with this price parity problem with licensed products? Because Soul Store has so many licensing characters and everything. Have you faced this challenge, both of the price parity and of piracy?
So the first one is actually not a problem statement. It was an opportunity for us. When we started the Soul Store back in 2013, if you wanted to buy a t-shirt or any product of your favorite character, you either bought a fake off the streets where the cost is low, but the quality is obviously dodgy. The other option is you've got a friend or a relative in the US and they get back a 2,000-3,000 rupee t-shirt, which is unaffordable for a majority of the country. Where the Soul Store actually fits in is that sweet spot of you get an authentic product, the design and the quality is great, and it's at a price point which is affordable but aspirational. So for us personally, we've not faced that challenge because we've positioned ourselves as an affordable, aspirational brand. And for me, I think piracy will always be a problem, but it's also an opportunity. If you give customers an alternate to pirated products in terms of great designs, quality, and price points, piracy is not a problem for the Soul Store. I think the Soul Store is the solution for piracy.
Lovely. So you found the sweet spot. And over to you, Hemang. As he said, it's a partnership. It's almost like a marriage of sorts, right? So how has Hasbro found that sweet spot and made their products, licensed toy products, differentiate from their competitors?
I think at Hasbro, we work in a little different way. Rather than having an approach where we want to be present everywhere, we first try to find a white space where nobody's present, at least from an IP perspective, right? Let me give you an example. An IP might be present, say, in a toy category. But within the toy category, there's some categories where we not be present, right? Just to take an example, say for example, the IP is Peppa Pig. It's one of the biggest IPs for us. We know that kids love the content for Peppa Pig, right? And parents kind of like Peppa Pig because they know it's safe IP, the content is safe, and probably kids learn a things or two, right? Now the way to understand is if the content is so good, and if parents want an alternative for more screen time, can the content be used in a different way? So we found that audio might be a space which could be a white space, and we try to do something innovative with audio. Now within audio, there are two ways to do it. One is, say for example, using the content that we already have, or we create content which is more relevant to the local culture and localize it. So while we are finding a white space, the second big differentiation is localization. Where Hasbro is, in fact, one of the very few licensors where we not only encourage, but we appreciate and we want licensees to localize more and more. Today, we know that cricket is big in India. So we have a Monopoly cricket version. We have a Peppa Pig celebrating Diwali, Peppa Pig celebrating Holi, through all the multiple books that we have in the market. So we actually appreciate localization, which in a way helps us differentiate which a local or a fake or a counterfeit may not be able to provide. That's how we try to offer them something which the counterfeit may not be able to offer.
Lovely. You also have a Harry Potter Monopoly.
Yes, yes, we do.
Is it in Hogwarts? Happening in Hogwarts?
I wish so. But the way it works is a lot of big IPs see this as an opportunity because Monopoly or for that matter, any other game that we have Jenga, we have Game of Thrones, we have a lot of other IPs where because the game board is such that everybody is involved in it. There are very few moments where you're not using your phone today. And playing Monopoly is one of those moments, right? It's a very cute moment. It's a very fun moment for the entire family. And having these kind of partners where you can share the fandom with them, it's something which gives us more and more opportunity. Today, we have a core Monopoly where we probably sell around 100,000 boards every month. But these kind of partnerships with our partners, say a Warner or a Disney or anybody for that matter, it gives us opportunity to add more collectibility in the same game. There are people who have probably 4 or 5 different versions of Monopoly in their game board today. That's how we're able to expand not only Monopoly, but partner with all the other IPs and create their magic in our games.
Fantastic. It's not a very good thing for the parents, I should know. I have 4 Monopolies and none of them are played. They're just there for the limited edition, as I said. Mahesh, I'll come to you because he spoke about entertainment. Tell us how Bacardi is keeping all the music and entertainment partnerships and how do you have them in your marketing mix?
See, for Indians, there are 3 things that resonate very well. It's undoubtedly movies, cricket, and the third one is music. If you look at brand Bacardi, in India, it's about a 25-year-old brand. We have an extension called Bacardi Experiences, in which music is a very integral part of the entire mix. So just to give you an example, and whatever you do, you have to do it with consistency. So one of our properties that we partnered with was NH7 Weekender that went on for almost 15 years. That has now moved on to another own IP of ours called Casa Bacardi, and that we do it globally, not just in India. What we figured out was when you have immersive experiences, consumers actually resonate with the brand better. So today, Bacardi is amongst the top 5 Alcobev brands when it comes to mind metrics as far as Indian consumers are concerned. And that's happened on account of consistent association with one of the passion points, which is music. And that we take it at a global scale as well. Today, we've got Camila Cabello on the brand. She creates a lot of content for the brand, both not just music, even video content for the brand. And one learning that we had on Casa Bacardi is today, small is the new big, because consumers, you may have a headliner event, but people are looking at small experiences. And we particularly get extremely good engagement when we do it in a tier 2 town. So we just had a Mysore gig just about a week back, Casa Bacardi. And the crowd that you see there in a small town like a Jabalpur, Mysore, etc., is much better than what you could probably see in a Bombay, because everybody chases a Bombay, Delhi, etc., etc. So that's another learning that we had. and consumers are willing to pay for a money can't buy experience. They're willing to pay top dollars as well in India. Sorry. So overall, few experiences. One is about saying that give them money can't buy. Small is the new big, I would put it. And tier 2 towns actually surprise us.
Fantastic. Tushar, you're sitting right beside him. Alcobev number 5, he's saying. So how is Bisleri integrating entertainment in your marketing mix? You're coming out with innovative products also. It's the same water, but it's selling more. What have you done different?
So I'm going to share a very interesting anecdote over here. You know that every good idea comes from a consumer need, right? And as a mainline brand, every mainline brand has a mainline campaign. But then that campaign needs to resonate with so many mini Indias, because India is just not one India. There are many Bharats around. And especially when you look at the south of India, right? There are different cultural nuances there. So if you need to build an emotional connect in the south of India, how do you do it? And you know, a lot of times you make another communication, you put a lot of investment behind it. What came to us was an opportunity to tie up with RRR when it had released, right? And we got into a limited edition deal with them, right? And that was the start of our limited edition range for Bisleri, right? And we've done about 30 or 35 so far from then. So it started with RRR and then it moved into Vikram and it said, hey, it's doing well. There is a lot of excitement being created with consumers and retailers alike. Because what we also do with that is we dress up the retail stores in the POSM material of the movie, right? And normally when you stick a paper POSM in a retail store, 2 days max. This stayed on for 2 months. And it brought that movie-like, festival-like atmosphere back to our retail partners as well. So that got us a lot of retail love, other than consumer love as well. Then we researched with our consumers as well on terms of awareness levels of that. And what came was that Bisleri was top of mind. Number 2 was a competitor. And number 3 was a Bisleri Vikram limited edition pack. And then another competitor. So it played well both at a retail lens and at a consumer lens. And now we've perfected the model. And it's moved into a national scale and now also at an international scale with our latest association with Transformers. So we've had from everybody from Shah Rukh Khan to Rajnikant to Salman Khan to Aishwarya Rai to Prabhas to Junior NTR, everybody's been on a Bisleri bottle. And it's become a collectible for our consumers as well. And we do a lot of integrated marketing around it as well. It's just not about product marketing, but then you do digital associations where you have the stars actually talk about consumers trying the limited edition pack. We do our truck backs with that. We do retail POS and we invite our retailers to the theater for a movie experience. So there's a lot of love being created with that.
Also, another controversial question. Does it also help in differentiating the pirated versions of the brand?
From our perspective, we are the market leader in India, of course, and it is, yes, a part of differentiation as well, but I mean, that's not the ethos by which this came about, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I just had a very sad experience with Bill Sereli, which I didn't realize till my colleague didn't show that. Did you even see what you picked up? I said, sorry, yaar.
That happens with a lot of mainline brands in India, especially where there is a lot of that involved as well, yes.
Limited editions can help that as well. So, Rajat, we'll come to you. He spoke a number of stars who've been on Bisleri bottle. You've worked with stars. Where did the ultra soft toys come about? What is the story behind that?
So, Ultra Soft Toys actually came as an inception in the early 2000s. When the company was growing, our CEO took the license of Hallmark, so the gifting stores, and that's how it came about. But how we saw it and how we thought of going about it was that basically when we buy rights of movies, we wanted to create an ecosystem. So we work a little differently in that way. What we try to do is we see the potential of licensing or merchandising rights per se. So what happens is that if we are acquiring, you know, an international product, an international movie, a TV series, primarily animation, we'll see if it has the potential of, you know, plushies, apparels, and going out there in the market and, you know, marketing itself for the movie, and then vice versa. Once the movie comes out, does the sales of the apparels and the plushies have the potential. So that's how it started also with a few characters like Casper, Benjamin, and obviously the famous Jadoo. So we had taken the exclusive, rights for Jadoo. We created around 100 SKUs. It did fairly well, and that's been the journey since that date till today. Today, we probably don't do a lot of licensing deals because it has a lot of challenges, as our co-panelists have already discussed. But we try to go on with it on and off and create our own designs also.
Lovely. Rikki, over to you. Tell us how tech is helping you create innovative marketing strategies for all these brands who are sitting here.
That's a lot of brands. Make sure after my talk you can reach out to me.
Closer.
So basically, I think, so what has changed, right? One is basically because of Instagram and all that stuff, content is getting produced at scale. So previously there used to be a single TVC or a single marketing campaign. Now content gets produced at scale, right? And a lot of content at scale is impossible to make. So I think what we are doing, so for example, we work with a lot of D2C brands. What we are doing is we are using AI, a lot of Gen AI stuff, and creating content at scale. Because what we realize is gone are the days where you have, it's a single piece of content and then you just keep bombarding. So you need content at scale and distribution at scale, right? So if both come together is where you start creating impact. So now what we are doing, especially with brands, is to have we just did a campaign with KFC where we created 30 pieces of UGC content, and then they're distributed on Instagram on a different frequency so that so you are basically creating content to grab attention, because a person is infinitely scrolling. So your job as a brand or as an agency is to create content that can hook the consumer. Once it hooks, you sell the product and then move on, right? So, and that's where content and AI and all this technology comes in place. So for example, right now, Facebook, we are working with Facebook. We're one of the biggest partners in India for Facebook, Meta, and we're building a tool specifically for this. We've realized the power of content, and can we build an infrastructure around it so that we can actually do stuff automated. Yeah.
Perfect. So, Shobhit, how are you using the technology for faster production, especially for these on-trend licensed products? Like, Trump had a near assassinated staged attack, and the next day the products were already there. So from China to here. So what are you doing to fasten your these on-trend products?
So definitely technology is there, and technology is the future in which it has to be applied. So I will tell you, we are working on our technology in which script can be turned around to the 3D image. So I think every brand in India is working on technology, and that is required if you want to stay there. And so that's why we get into script to 3D. This is a technology which we are working on, and I think maybe I can't talk much around that because this is still in the development, but still we are developing that. So that is there. Now 3D printing is there, it is age old right now. Now AI is there. But my only thing is that technology should be to facilitate the mankind, not to eradicate or abolish the mankind. So maybe I'm sounding a little bit socialistic, but this is there. Technology should be implemented in business, but that should be a facilitator, not to eradicate or remove the portion from there. So this is my take on the technology.
Lovely. Harsh, what is your take? How are you using this technology for production, for marketing? I mean, Soul Store, marketing is, everyone knows, everybody knows it's the minute you get out a product.
I think we should probably spam people less then in that case. But I think tech has played obviously a huge role as a D2C brand, as an online first brand, experimenting with different mock-ups, different types of ads, what kind of creatives do well, what kind of creatives don't do well, having a dynamic pricing structure. Pretty much every decision that we take at the Soul Store is data-backed. There's always A/B testing happening. But as Shobhit mentioned, I think that's one part of the puzzle. The second thing, which is still very important for us when making decisions, is customer feedback. So what we've actually started doing over the last few months is every leadership review meeting actually starts with a 1 hour session by the customer care team talking about all the issues, the feedbacks, the suggestions which have come in for various teams. Once we go through all of those and understand what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong as an organization, post that is when we actually jump into the leadership review and discuss every department's performances. So a combination of data, tech-enabled testing and customer feedback essentially drives decisions at the Soul Store.
And are you using AI at all
Yes.
for all this?
Yes, in a lot of our creatives, it's early days. But in terms of just being able to churn out different types of creatives, understand what works, what doesn't work, there's a lot more AI being used both on the mock-up front and on the social media content creation front.
Lovely. Hemang, I'll come to you. So Hasbro has two kind of verticals, the entertainment and the sports. So how have you differentiated yourself to, lead from your competitors?
I think there are 2-3 things that we are doing differently. And in fact, Hasbro is in a sweet spot in that way, right? We have a toys and games business already where we produce and sell our old toys and games. The way we are using licensing is to complement that business, right? So for example, if you know that Monopoly is available, we use licensing as a medium to enhance that experience. Transformers, we know that we have toys which can transform from bots to vehicles. Licensing helps them to have a presence in vehicles and in action figures. So we are using complementary benefits of having more products in the market using a licensee's expertise. So that's where we are able to, and partners like these. So a lot of these guys have helped us put products in the market which are relevant for the customers and which are helping us reach to more consumers by increasing the touch points. That's something which has helped the brands grow multifold.
Lovely. And Mahesh, how is merchandising helping the brand grow?
Quick example, we have a brand called Breezer, and we have an extension called Breezer Vivid. And Breezer is a Gen Z brand. It's a brand that has to keep recruiting every year because people come in and then people go out. It's a transitory category. So merchandise, especially in terms of clothing on Breezer Vivid, has actually helped us because it targets the Gen Z. It's very quirky merchandise that we have in the form of clothing. So clearly, it resonates well with the Gen Z. And, as this category has limited avenues from a communication standpoint, when you have Gen Z consumers wearing these kind of quirky T-shirts, going into the right festivals, it gets to be seen. So it's kind of earned media for us because the brand gets showcased in the right way and showcased with the right set of people. So that's a classic example of merchandise helping us recruit new consumers.
Fantastic. Tushar, over to you. How have you adapted your retail strategy for your merchandised licensed products?
Thank you. So I spoke about the entertainment and the pop culture tie-ups we have as well. There's another very important integration from a retail strategy is in our sports tie-ups. Now, Bisleri has been hydrating the country for more than 50 years, and we are also championing hydration from a sports perspective, right? So from our sports program, we are the sponsors or hydration partners of almost all genre of sports, starting from all the major city marathons, moving into 5 IPL teams, we've got 7 ISL teams, we've got marathons which are happening in UAE as well. We've got table tennis. We've partners for national games. We were also partners now for Professional Golf Tour of India, for example. We've done Red Bull Racing. We've done MotoGP Bharat. So every genre of sports is covered by us. And then we do limited edition bottles also with these sports. And you've got everybody from, let's say, a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma present as part of the team mnemonic in our bottles. And we take that to our trade partners as well. So you find it's a very interesting point of moment marketing also, because everybody is excited about the IPL at that point of time. And in Mumbai, people are crazy about the IPL, for example. There's a lot of fandom. There's a lot of passion point. and we bring that to our retail partners, right? We put the POSM material, it attracts more trades to more consumers into our trade as well. We have our truck backs, we have thousands of trucks moving across this. So there is this entire integrated approach that we take towards that as well. So it generates a lot of excitement in our retail partners and creates a lot of trade love too.
So, for quick commerce, which obviously every FMCG brand has to be there, there's also a problem because the product shown may not be the one which is delivered. I recently faced this with a Coca-Cola bottle they had, but I had asked for the one probably with the Shah Rukh on it, but it didn't turn up. Now it will not go back as well, right? And the product inside is same. So is that a problem for Bisleri as well? That there might not be a customer satisfaction from these quick commerce channels?
So a very interesting question, but we are one of the fastest, we have one of the fastest velocities when it comes to a product in terms of water moving very, very quickly. So we are able to manage that. That's not an issue. I mean, whenever we have a limited edition that goes on our own app, we have our own D2C app as well, and it goes through all our quick commerce partners. So you will get what you see, and when you order that.
Lovely. So Rajat, I'll come to you. So are there any challenges in marketing these entertainment-led products that you are making? And if so, what are those challenges?
I mean, yeah, just to add on to what I said previously, if we come to the challenges, so if we're taking the license of an existing, product character, so the challenges that we face is that if the character is not that well known in the territory, so obviously the marketing efforts are more, which also means that the shelf space that you get might not be that as good that you're expecting. And then in the end, you also have to factor in the royalties that you have to pay to these companies. So with the margins in India and in the industry, in the plush toy industry or in the merchandising industry, it's very competitive, right? So you have to work on low margins, and then when you have to give royalties back to these companies, it gets more difficult. And and at the end of the day, you also have to take the approvals of the designs that you're creating, the eventual products that you're producing, the materials that you're using, because for them, the movie or the content that they've created is going to be the same that they're giving to us. But from a merchandising or a licensing point of view, we are creating something for them. So they need to ensure that their brand, their product is going out in the way they expect it to go. So these are a few challenges that we tend to face.
Lovely. So Rikki, I'll come to you. Tell us how you're merging creative content with marketing strategies and driving faster retail.
So basically, I think what we've realized is that I think a lot of people have built campaigns around reach. What we are doing is building campaign around attention. Reach is useless if you don't get the right attention. So the whole fact is that what we've decided, like at least internally, and what we've seen great success spending like around $200 million of media every year, we've realized that consumers are infinitely scrolling on digital, right? So your first job as a marketer is to grab the attention. And basis research, what we found is that hook-based advertising, where you hook a consumer, right? The story, like the people don't have the time for a 30-second or 40-second on Instagram, because you are competing with an influencer who's making like a great video, who you are competing with like a brand, you're competing with the whole world, right? Like, and it's not one content piece, it's millions of content pieces, right? So the idea is that your first job as an agency or a marketer is to stop that guy scrolling. So that's where the hook comes in, and then what you do is you intro the product and then you create FOMO. So that means like do the entire storytelling in a 15-seconder and move on. So the whole point is the strategy now, at least what we see globally and what we see with some of our clients, is that like creating content where you test different hooks. So what hook will work? For example, if you look at an influencer, he will start with a video saying, "This place will blow your mind." That's a hook, right? Like, and then you come to know it's some Vietnam that everyone has been to, right? So, and it's a reality that you are living in, right? So you'll find someone saying, "The place that I went to had this insane food," and then the person is selling some vada pav, right? So, and it's actually a reality. So the whole idea is that the content, the way it was, where you had like time for like this story build up, people don't have time for that on Instagram
Right.
or on YouTube, right? Like they are infinitely scrolling, and even if you are watching an IPL match, you are on the phone. So the strategy for us, at least what we've decided is, we've created like a business where like one entire division is now focusing on creating content at scale. So when we get a brand, and what has happened is performance marketing has now become AI driven. So technically the only thing that changes is creative, right? So like this whole idea of having a performance marketing agency driving performance, at least we don't believe in it. So what we've done is we've said that it should be creative-led performance marketing. So if you come to me and say, give me performance marketing, I'll say, okay, what is your creative? And I will not do your performance if you don't give me the creative, right? So the whole idea is that strategy and the funnel is collapsing. So it's very important, at least and we've seen, because this model working, because we've almost doubled our revenue following this strategy, and we are onboarding like 5-6 brands every month. So in a sense, I think content is changing. People have to stand up and take notice, and attention is the key to drive, like at least my brand recall, business recall, all that stuff.
And attention is for 15 seconds.
Oh, it's not even 15. Like we've done. So basically, when we make creative, now there is a hook rate, there's a hold rate. A hook rate, if we say a hook rate is less than 3 seconds, it's not a good hook. There is a hold rate. So after the hook, how much can you hold the guy on the video itself? So it's like I think like a lot of marketers here are aware of CTR, VTR, right? I think gone are the days. Now it's hook rate, hold rate. So it's insane. So yeah, like 3 second is the.
We are still making 7-minute videos for our social media. I think we have to stop right away. Otherwise, media is going to be very at the back.
Look.
So I'll ask very quick questions now because she's here. So this is to all the panelists. I want one trend that you see in the licensing industry in India, not because we are still at a nascent stage. So one trend that you foresee happening in India.
So I definitely see IP creation being a big thing. The potential is substantially increasing with all these marketing opportunities, as Harsh also mentioned. Creating your own IPs, getting it out there, and then probably 10 out of 1 of them will work, and then capitalizing on that one. I think that's probably
Perfect. Shobhit?
I think my answer was nearby.
No, you have to change your answer now. You have to change your answer.
So basically, it's about like as we are the huge user of the IPs and licensing thing, and there's a great potential around that. The only thing is that again, I will repeat the first answer again, to create the relevance and cohesiveness in this approach that is there between the licensing and the licensor, all the IPs and the product. So that has to be hand in hand developed in this thing.
I think one of the trends is that people or brand owners are thinking merchandise first, rather than building the IP first. So they're thinking about merchandising even before they're thinking about the content. That is probably a wrong way to develop an IP. You need to create that brand love before even moving to the product. That's something which is happening right now.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think the one big trend we've seen over the last 10, 12 years is everything that's cool is moving eastward. I'll tell you what I mean. I think in 2008, 2010, there were a bunch of Marvel movies. So around that time, superheroes were cool. You then had the explosion of cheap data and OTT. We had a lot of craze for TV shows and original content. In the last couple of years, we've seen the demand for anything and everything Asian, whether it's K-pop, K-drama or anime, just really spike up in terms of demand. It's gone from being very cult to mainstream, and I feel everything that's Eastern is now becoming a lot cooler, and over the next 3 to 5 years, you will see a lot more of that in terms of content and in terms of merchandising.
So J-pop.
All pops.
C-pop. I won't call it a trend. My prediction is the future is all going to be about big strategic alliances. So it's difficult to create brands. So you will have alliances where you'll have brands from one category or one industry transiting into or moving into another industry or another category altogether. So you will have probably big partnerships between big organizations happening where probably brand from one company may move to another, but in a different category altogether.
Lovely. Tushar?
One trend that I actually would like to catch on is with respect to sustainability partnerships, right? And I'll just give a quick example of that. We are putting around 1,000 benches made of recycled plastic across various places in the country. But we tied up with MFPA, which is mouth and foot painting artists who don't have hands. And we've got beautiful pictures painted by them, and they are on the back of the benches, which make the benches more attractive. So it solves a consumer need as well. But sustainability and tie-ups with NGOs, I think that is a space also that brands should explore, where you give back to society as well and create brand love with the consumers too.
Perfect. Rikki?
I think so. A lot of people here are talking about existing IPs. If you look at global landscape, I think the drink Prime was built by an influencer, right? So when the content gets democratized, the power to an influencer is immense. So you can create IPs, right? Logan Paul has created an IP called Prime, right? Like the Netflix fight that happened right now was an insane IP that was created. Like think of like what has internet done, like democratize content. On top of that, what will happen is influencers will come and start creating their own IPs, and people will start like Prime is one of the most, like it was selling in black here for like 10x the price, right? So in a sense, opportunities. So at least what I believe is, if you know how to distribute content, and if you can crack how to distribute content organically, you have the power to create brands, you have the power to create IPs.
Perfect. Pooja, do we have time for 2 questions from the audience?
Yeah, I think
You
we
do.
do. If anybody has questions, I'm going to request you to kindly do a show of hands. We will pass the mic to you. We've got somebody asking a question there.
Good evening, panel. My name is Atira. Very insightful session, thank you. And my question is to Mr. Harsh Lal specifically. I remember being very fascinated with Soul Store back in 2017, 16, around that time when I was in college. And I believe it was just stationery and very novelty little knickknacks and journals and pins and everything. And now it's become more apparel-centric. And I noticed you had mentioned about how your business is very data-driven and very consumer insight-driven. So my question is, apart from why did you move away from stationery? Because personally, it breaks my heart as a consumer and a stationery lover. But the question is, when you move to such a drastically different segment, how does it change or influence a brand? And more importantly, the vision of the management? Because I assume you envisioned to continue in that same stationery space, correct? So how did you navigate that as a brand?
I think thank you for that. There's a lot of customers that have asked us to bring back badges and the other knickknacks. A couple of very, very simple reasons, right? One is how big is a category individually. So does it make sense from an MOQs, from a shipping cost perspective to build that category? You always want to add newer categories which either give you bigger margins or are higher priced items. Having said that, you're going to see a lot more non-apparels on the Soul Store in the coming months. And we will be bringing back some of our older knickknacks.
Thank you.
One more question. If anybody has a question, I'm going to request you to kindly do a show of hands. No questions? All right. I think, Ms. Banerjee, we are good to conclude.
Yeah, I conclude within my time frame. Please take a note. So thank you so much. And Harsh, I remember my first Soul Store T-shirt was the Moo Point. Please bring that back as well. Thank you so much for the insightful session.
Customer feedback.
Yeah, that's the customer feedback, yeah, and not the Gen Z customer. Thank you so much, panelists. We had a lot of insightful sessions, discussions, and I hope they'll catch you offline.
Totally agreed. It's been a great session, ladies and gentlemen. Can we please give our panel members a big, big hand? And before I let you all go, I am going to request Ms. Banerjee to present a token of our appreciation and thank you to each of our panel members. Starting with Mr. Shobhit Singh. Mr. Mahesh Kanchan. Mr. Harsh Lal. Mr. Rajat Agarwal. Mr. Hemang Vasani. Mr. Tushar Malhotra. And Mr. Rikki Agarwal. I think this calls for a group photograph.